Is this the biggest, baddest cold steel knife yet? I think the answer is yes. It's kind of subjective though. I don't know about biggest, but it's definitely one of the baddest. This is the frickin' Meyhem from Cold Steel. So, this is a limited edition version, the launch version, number 229, which is pretty cool. Because I'm not that early on this thing. This has been out, so clearly retailers have not been sending them out from first number to last, because I'm pretty sure I should be higher than 229. Because it's been a while since these came out. I was late to the game. Interesting story here. This is my first limited edition Cold Steel. I've never bought any of those in the past. I don't think they do a ton, but the ones that they have done, I've never purchased one. So that was kind of cool. You can see it's got the old school reversible pocket clip there. Comes in a slightly upgraded box, you know, with a nice shiny inside, hard box. It's not the usual little cardboard thing. Very, very cool. But when I first saw this posted, I thought it was the ugliest. Look at this. Oh my gosh. I thought it was the ugliest, the stupidest looking Mall Ninja designed by a third grader knife I'd ever seen. I mean, just being honest. I'm all about honesty. I'm biased, but I'm honest. I thought it was the stupidest knife ever. I still kind of do. Like it feels like a knife where the design is close, but then it's like, it just doesn't quite click. But then it also has a certain amount of juvenile absurdity aesthetic to it that I like. So no offense to Medford. You know I like Medford. I don't have any now. I actually sold them all. But it reminds me of Medford because Medford is not a knife designer. I can barely fit this thing in frame. Medford is not, admittedly, he's not a knife designer. He's not a knife guy. So his designs are always a little quirky, but it's also a little refreshing. And I feel like that's kind of what this is. I feel like this was designed by somebody that doesn't really know much about knives. They looked at a few, they wanted to make a big one, and they made a big one because it's kind of weird. Let's get some measurements on this guy before I completely go on the ramble train. I do want to talk about some of the things that I find weird. Listed as a 5.5-inch blade, but that's honestly to where the grind starts. The actual full blade is almost 6 inches long. It's almost 13.5 inches, 13.25 inches long. This thing is insane. And yes, it's heavy. It is heavy. It is a guillotine. I think it's almost, 13.1 ounces. It is a monster jammer S35 VN steel G10. This has the red and black G10. I believe the regular production version is the blue and black G10. It has the Atlas lock, and in my opinion, the Atlas lock is perfect for this knife. This knife was made for the Atlas lock. The Atlas lock was made for this knife. Couple reasons for that. One is when you have a giant guillotine, super heavy blade like this, you want a locking mechanism where your finger can be out of the way of the blade. And that's exactly what this does. Because of this Atlas lock, you can get completely out of the way of the blade. You can fling this thing closed and you're good to go. I actually tighten this pivot up, just FYI, tighten this pivot up just a touch because I don't know, it just felt like I wanted it a little stiffer. Out of the box, the action was actually completely smooth. Like it would just drop shut. I thought that was a little bit dangerous. So I tightened it up just a touch so that you have to give it a little oomph to close it and a little more pressure to open it up. But that's just my personal preference. In case you were wondering why it takes a little bit of effort to get it to close, I did that. But the Axis lock, so super strong, super cool. And I'm probably going to talk about this again in the future, but the drawback to the Axis lock, there's two drawbacks to the Axis lock. One is how far it has to be positioned below the pivot. So it's positioned quite a bit lower. It's about the same distance as the Triad lock, with the difference being how you actually interact with it. So on a knife this size, it's great, no issue. You've got so much real estate here. You can get all the way down here and you can just close this knife, no problem. I believe you can, you can do the kind of Triad lock, put your finger up and let it drop, stop it, close it as well. It's really hard to maneuver this thing in front of the camera. It's so big. That's what, anyways, insert jokes there. But on smaller knives, the Atlas lock doesn't give you as much real estate to manipulate it. You can make it work, but it's not as good. Like I've got the Engage, which is still a relatively large knife, 3.5 inch blade. And even that, you start to run out of room to close it like this on the handle. And they make smaller versions than that. I would imagine like the 3-inch or smaller Engage would be really hard to use this Atlas lock. So the other reason why this is perfect for the Atlas lock is the Atlas lock takes up a lot of real estate. It's pretty wide. Like it comes all the way over to here because it actually fits underneath these big pins. And so on a large knife like this, there's plenty of room for this Atlas lock to fit. As you get into smaller knives, you start to run into space issues and you have to start modifying the blade shape so that it'll actually fit in the handle without getting too wide. Once again, you see that on the Engage that I have where some of the way that the blade was designed, you can tell they had to do that in order to get it to fit in the handle because of how big this Atlas lock is. So I don't think the Atlas lock is going to be featured in all that many knives. Originally, I thought that maybe they would swap out the Triad lock and start moving the Atlas lock in. Now I realize that this mechanism just wouldn't work in the existing models, and you kind of have to design the model around it to a certain degree. Anyways, I've talked enough about that. This thing is a beast. Absolutely killer. Midway USA has these for a deal, or at least they did when I ordered mine. Basically, the regular production price on the limited edition, for some reason, they've got it discounted at like $260 or something. And I think they may have had it lower before. What's funny, Midway is weird. So if you go to Midway, you're going to see two versions of this or two ads for this. One is this one, brand new in box, like $259 on sale, boom. And then you're going to see a Blem version of this for like $339. And you're going to be scratching your head and you're going to be like, how, why, what? Because I was too. Like, am I really getting the limited edition with this because they want more money for the Blem version of this? I don't know, man. It's just a weird thing. For some reason, the brand new one, they're able to put it on sale. I guess the Blem versions, they can't put on sale. I don't know, maybe a contract thing. But don't be alarmed. If it says it's the limited edition, at least in my case, that's what I got, is the limited edition version for the same price as the production version. So if you're wanting one of these, Midway USA is the only place that I've really seen that has any sort of reasonable price on this limited edition version. So if you're looking for it, go there before they sell out if you're wanting to get one. This thing, I'm going to do some comparison videos between this and like some of my other large folders. I love the Cold Steel large folders. They're just fun. Reminds me of being a kid. I don't know, something about them. I'm going to compare this to my XL Espada and see how they size. It's been a while since I've handled that one. I don't even know. I'm pretty sure that one's bigger than this, but not by much, but we'll see. This one's more beefy though. This one feels more stout and more solid. Wider blade, I think. Very cool. It has the cheesy font right there. Meyhem 229. Cold Steel, made in Taiwan. Cool, cool stuff. All right, let me know down below. Is this something you would ever be interested in? Does this appeal to you on any level? I know Cold Steel is fun to hate, and I get it. I get it. I'm weird too. Like, I'm literally shooting videos of some knives I got, and the range of those knives, I mean, you'll be able to tell based on my background which ones I'm shooting together, which ones I got in, but polar opposites on the spectrum, both in terms of price, quality, where it's made, you know, all those things. And yet I'm just as excited about this one as I am about the others. So that's just me. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You take it easy.